Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it just like the sunrise. We gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it just like the sunrise. We gonna let it rain.
Sorry about that. How is everybody doing tonight? How is everybody doing? Welcome on in. I sound like I've been running. I feel like I have. Just running around here anyway. Trying to get my everything in order. Like just, I feel like I'm not up high enough or the desk isn't up high enough. I don't know. I lowered something. I did something funky, but that's okay. That's okay. Does it really say 60-70? Oh my goodness. You know how many times I've changed the thumbnails on these lives? Because we'll go over oh goodness. I didn't even notice that when I did the thumbnail. Well, good thing that's a simple change, huh? Or no, it says 60-70 on my side. Like chapter 60 through 70. Maybe you I don't know, double check for me on your side. Maybe they are missing letters over there and I'm not. That's weird. That'd be weird. That'd be weird. But welcome on in, everyone. I'm glad you're here and you're some of you are here ready to dance. I saw Mary Beth had her dancing person in the chat. Well, welcome in, everybody. It's good to see you guys. We're going to talk about Idaho 4, obviously. It's in the title. But we're going to talk about this new classmate that come out. That's Bryan Kohlberger's. And I believe that this guy's telling the truth. You don't really hear that from me very often. I'm usually the skeptical one, like, what? I was very skeptical of William 127. I was very, very, very skeptical of Justin. I was very, very, very skeptical of Kim when she came out. Been pretty skeptical of a lot of people. in this case. And it's done me no wrong so far. But this guy, I don't know. He seems like a legit guy. For some reason, I thought he might have been part of that. Like, he reminds me of just like a good soul. So we'll go over the short video that he did today. It's actually pretty long. I think shorts can be like up to like 3 minutes now or more. So I don't know how long they could be. I should know. But welcome in, everybody. It's good to see you guys. I won't go through all the names, but I see the mods are here tonight, which is always good. I see the members and the subscribers are here. It's good to see you. If you are new in our chat, put it in the bottom and say, hey, where you're from. We'd love to know. Hey, Ishi. Hey, Mega Mama. Hey, Kathy. Welcome in. Hey, Dawn. Welcome in, everybody. Hey, Cuff You. It's good to see everybody. Hey, Jack. Hey, Toys R Us Kid. I'm just trying to get to the bottom. That way we can get to reading. Hey, Maggie Sue. I took a little nap today and I thought that like was going to refresh me, and then I still feel sleepy. I think it's just my eyes feel tired. Thank you very much. I had this necklace in particular. I had this one for a long time. I had it and I would never wear it. You know, when you get something new and it's like really pretty and you're like, oh, I don't want to wear that. You know, like I don't want to wear that. And then you always never wear stuff and you grow out of it. That's what happens to me anyway. I'll like save a certain outfit, and then by the time I go to wear it, it's like, Mama, you gained too much weight. That's usually how it goes. Hey, Crystal. Welcome in, everybody. It's good to see everyone. Hopefully you guys are all having a great, what is it, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's all the same. It's all the same in YouTube, you know? Oh, I do too, Cuff You. I really do. I want Ashley Banfield's necklace. I said that last night. It's a freaking smiley face. It's like 2 pearls and then like gold. I love that. I think that's really cute. We should ask her where she got it. We should go over there sometime and ask her when she releases another video. She just released one actually. So, but it wasn't anything that we're not going to go over actually right now, but she released hers last night. So last night, I don't know what was going on with the court case like site, but it was showing at one point, like the 4 documents that we had already went through like a few nights before. And then on my phone, it was showing like 4 new documents that we hadn't went over. So I put those on from my phone to my computer. And then by the time we refreshed the page on the computer, if they were finally up, but there was one that wasn't up, and it was the one that they were discussing today. So if you didn't hear about the hearing, you'll get to know about that too, if you weren't here for the hearing. But there was a hearing scheduled today for the Media Coalition to try to get the non-dissemination order lifted in this case. So we'll go over that because there is the 2 documents, and then we'll watch the video of Bryan's classmate, and then we'll get into some reading. How about that? Does that sound good? That sounds good to me. I'm like, that sounds good to me. So let me find them. And I don't know, this is like crazy. Well, it's not like the end of them because we're going to have like a ton more to go through, like, you know, documents wise, but these are almost like the last bit of like, that aren't going to be with Bryan Kohberger, that aren't like, that haven't already been, out there that we just didn't know about. Right. Cause he's going to be sentenced and see ya, bye-bye to the big slammer with you. Hopefully they cut your hair before you go, because you're not going to get a haircut like that for a while, the one that you had. Oh, and did anybody notice? Did you guys notice anything about when they said, defense, do you have anything to say today? And Ann Taylor, she didn't have a thing to say. Not a thing. Not a thing. I'm not going to talk. She'll talk. Huh. I was like, oh, that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate, man. Even I almost felt a little bit bad for Bryan Kohberger in that moment. Almost, but not. I was laughing. I was laughing at his prison uniform. He was back in his prison uniform. At least it's maroon for now because he's high risk and he's going to a maximum security penitentiary. So that's why. But Ann Taylor was in court along with, Bill Thompson, all of them. So we're going to go through, like I said, some of the documents. There's only 2 that came out. So there was one from last night that was Ann's argument. And what's she talking about? Like, I'm like, what are you talking about, Ann? She did do the most in this. I wonder who wrote this, actually. Let's see who actually wrote this. Ann Taylor says, wow, okay. She's probably like, I'm after this and I'm done. So it's the state of Idaho versus Bryan Kohlberger. It's redacted. Opposition to motion to vacate non-dissemination order. So comes now Bryan C. Kohlberger by and through his attorneys of record and hereby requests the court for an order to maintain the revised, amended non-dissemination order issued on June 23rd, 2023 until sentencing. And I don't know why people are like putting it out that it was lifted because it really wasn't in a way. Mr. Kohlberger's request regarding the order is based on the language of the order that had not been previously been challenged by the media, to the ongoing publicity regarding the case and threats to Mr. Kohlberger's safety. Who's been threatening Mr. Kohlberger? Other than Steve. It could have been Steve. Like I was thinking about it earlier. This is the only person I could think of is when Steve said, might have been on Banfield, something like, maybe people in prison will take care of him, or they'll have maybe the guys in Idaho will have a gift for him or a present for him waiting or something. He said it like kind of under his breath, but enough to where we all heard it. Thank you, Cuff You. So if you're on the hunt for an uplifting smiley face necklace with a charitable twist, check out CVO Collections. Oh, it was a heartfelt gift. That's cute. I like to give people heartfelt gifts. And I like to give myself them even more. But I really do like to give people gifts like that. KBO Collection. Sorry, guys. This is important. It's important right there. Thank you for the $10 super sticker. I appreciate it. Oh, have a good night, Laura. Well, who's Laura? Lenora. My mouth just wouldn't say your name for some reason tonight. There's Ashley with her. She's home for the night. She's like, getting in the shower, be listening. I love that. I love that you guys are here. Like, you guys have been here for a long time. So someone's threatening Kohlberger. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know. But you're going to hear more. So I think she's just making it up. Because in my opinion, Bryan and his family have not been... Okay, maybe Bryan. No, I'm not. Not even really Bryan. Like Bryan has been put through the ridicule, but hello. He's a suspect in a quadruple murder. But his family, on the other hand, they've had Daily Mail got pictures of them twice in 2.5 years. And that's it. So I don't think that they're being threatened. I've never heard anyone threaten them. So it says in 3, redacted, and the hold order for all witness issued by this court. 1, the language of the revised amended non-dissemination order issued on June 23rd, 2023, specifically ran through sentencing. Well, this is a different judge. He can do what he wants. In response to significant litigation and an Idaho Supreme Court ruling on this issue, in this case, the court issued a revised amended non-dissemination order on June 23rd, 2023. By its terms, the order was to remain in full force and effect until the conclusion of a trial and any sentencing proceeding that may follow unless ordered by this court. After this order was issued, the interested parties, hereinafter the media, raised no further objections to the revised order. The revised order recognized that Mr. Kohlberger's rights extend beyond the question of guilt or innocence to his right to a fair sentencing proceeding, regardless of whether that proceeding is reached via a jury verdict or a plea. The motion filed by the media to vacate the revised order asserts that once a guilty plea is entered, that his right to a fair trial under the Sixth Amendment is extinguished. Well, it kind of does, not to the sentencing part, but to the trial because he's not having one. What the media fails to recognize is that Mr. Kohlberger retains his rights to a fair sentencing proceeding guaranteed under his 14th Amendment. That's true. And his right to effective assistance of counsel under the Sixth Amendment and the Idaho Constitution. And then it says, a defendant's right to effective assistance of counsel extends to all critical stages of the prosecution where his substantial rights may be affected, and sentencing is one such stage. It gets, there's more. It's like, what? In this case, substantial dangers of prejudice to Mr. Kohlberger exist up to and through sentencing. I wonder if, like, I wonder how many people would descend on that, like, courthouse. I don't think that there's going to be any more if the non-dissemination order was, like, lifted completely, and we got all the files right away. I don't think that any more I don't think that there would be any more news stations out there that are. I think they're all going to be there, especially for sentencing. Sorry, they might not have been there the last hearing or any of the other hearings, but I think during sentencing, they're going to want to be there because all the victims' families are going to be there. Bryan Kohlberger is going to be in the courthouse. It's going to be just, everyone's going to be there. And they'll probably be able to try to get interviews. So in this case, substantial dangers of prejudice to Mr. Kohlberger exist up into sentencing. As this court is well aware, there have been numerous leaks of confidential information to the press, and the avalanche of publicity continues with the release of the Peacock documentary, The Idaho Student Murders, the Amazon Prime series on July 11th, 2025, and the book by James Patterson on June 14th, 2025. Lifting the revised order now this close to the sentencing would only increase the media frenzy and publicity around the case. I wish we could tell him he's not that important. To the ongoing publicity in this case threatens Mr. Kohlberger's safety. As set forth above in Section 1, the amount of publicity coming before sentencing, even with the revised order in place, is massive. Further release would only serve to gin up the anger and the violent rhetoric already at a fever pitch. Again, this court is well aware of the threats posed not only to Mr. Kohlberger, but to his family and to court staff. If this cough doesn't go away in a couple of minutes, I'm going to get a cough drop. I don't want to be that person, though. Don't make me be that person. We'll suffer through it. I got a drink. At this point, okay. So it says again, this court is well aware of the threats posed not only to Mr. Kohlberger, but to his family and to court staff. Now, who's out there threatening court staff and not getting arrested? Tell me right now. I want to know. If someone was getting threats in my court, which one is it? Who is it? Who's doing it? I think she's just making that up. And I don't think anybody is making any threats to his family. I've never heard not one person, like on either side of the fence, whether they are for guilty for Kohlberger or innocent for Kohlberger, ever bring up his family and like make fun of them. I never, anyway. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I did make fun of his dad's shoes. That's not threatening. At this point, the press has access to every witness who is not an agent of either party. As the court noted in its denial of the motion to vacate the amended non-dissemination order in 2023, the media is not being restrained, only the parties are restrained, and those restraints are reasonable. Both parties had no objection and indeed ought to have the revised order remain in place at least until sentencing. By the time they redact stuff, it would have been sentencing. Court's security resources were at a maximum capacity on July 2nd, 2025. Well, I recommend you get more. The sentencing hearing scheduled for 2 days promises to be even more taxing on those resources. Lifting the non-dissemination order now is likely to change the atmosphere near the courthouse and may well push security needs beyond capacity. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, who do you think's going to show up other than JLR? He might yell a little bit like, Kohlberger, why did you do it? He'll want to definitely get one of those in. But I don't know anybody that's going to be disruptive. The court has issued a records hold order, and it's redacted. After the release of the May 9th, 2025 Dateline special on this case, the court issued hold orders to both parties, documents and records hold order May 15th, 2025. In response to the media's motion, the state now withdraws its request for the non-dissemination order to be continued until sentencing. The state cites further reflection and continues that out of respect for the integrity of the judicial process and the privacy of the victims and their families as they consider their rights to provide victim impact statements at sentencing, the prosecution team does not intend to make any public statements about this case until after sentencing has concluded. Is Bryan's parents going to be at sentencing? I mean, are they still in? Did they go home for a little while and then come back out? I don't know. So the state's response to media motion filed July 14th, 2025 at 2, emphasis added, the state's promise rings hollow given the previous leaks from sources close to law enforcement. Conclusion, Mr. Kohlberger requests the court deny the media request to vacate the revised order ahead of sentencing. In order to maintain the integrity of the process and the security and safety of all the parties involved, including the families, court staff, and attorney, the revised order should remain in effect. The revised order is reasonable in scope and does not impinge on the media's ability to investigate and report on this case, and maintaining the revised order will minimize the media frenzy leading up to the sentencing. Do you think it's going to minimize it? They wouldn't be able to throw documents out at us anyway today. They have to redact things. The prosecution is going to have time to want things redacted. The defense is going to be given time to go through and want things redacted. I swear, we may never see those documents because Anne, I don't think herself has seen those documents. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I could paste the Patreon link in the chat. I sure can. There you are. Thank you. I need to put it into Nightbot. I think it's already in Nightbot, but I don't think I have a command for it. I don't think I put a command in for it. So, because I don't think I did. So then we have today's hearing and what I don't know. What happened today, I'll explain to you a little bit better. But so the state of Idaho versus Bryan Kohlberger, order vacating revised amended non-dissemination order. So it says, for the reasons articulated on the record at the July 17th, 2025 hearing in this matter, the motion to be heard as interested parties and motion to vacate the non-dissemination order July 3rd, 2025 is granted, and the revised amended non-dissemination order is hereby vacated. So I told Vincent I was going to frame this because we've been so long. What was I think the first non-dissemination order, it came out like 4 days, maybe, or 4 days after Bryan was arrested or something, or right around that time. It was really quick. They shut down that party really quick, didn't they? They were like, you guys can just speculate for the next 2.5 years on everything except for what we put in this 18-page affidavit. Which is a lot. I mean, that's a lot of pages, but we want it more. Okay, so that's all the documents. That's nothing too big, but I'll double check to make sure. Yeah, that's it. So that's all for the documents for today. If you were here for the document portion, you could see yourself out. Just kidding. So now we're going to move on to this guy. I don't know how I don't know how I stumble on these things, but I haven't heard anybody talk about this guy. But he apparently took a class with Koberger, and he goes into like details about how he acted. And I guess he's like sat beside him in a few different classes. And the vibes that I get from this guy, I could totally see him sitting beside Bryan, like not like in a bad way, just like, being a nice guy and being like, he might be a nice guy. Maybe we'll be friends or something. Like one of those kind of guys. So his name is Christian. And so the reason why I believe him and everything, not just because I watched his video and he does do a screenshot, because anybody can do a screenshot of like a class that they took or something. Like you can write that out, you can type that out and, do that. But he does go to school for, and he went for is this boy, he's a 6th-year doctoral candidate. But he goes to school for cannabis and like the growth and the way that, it can affect like, adolescence and things of that nature. So he already had a channel. It wasn't like he came onto the platform, got a channel, put his name on there, and his first video is Koberger right out the gate. You know what I mean? He don't have many videos, but he does have a couple. So like he has like this video, he has like some shorts. That's what it looks like he was kind of doing. And then he had this one, and look at the views now. My God. Okay. When I first watched this, it was at 6 o'clock, I think tonight. No, 7 or 8, because it was right when I was doing the thumbnail and I saw this and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to add this guy on there too. And now he has 34,000 views. He's okay. Now we're going to see. Now we'll know for sure what he's about, because look at his other videos, 137 views, 125, 117, 140. Hey bro, I feel you. I feel you there. He's going to get a taste of that sweet life. So, but he isn't getting paid for this video. I do want to make that clear. He doesn't have enough hours up to do that. Yeah, 6 videos. Okay, so we're going to watch this and we're going to see what he has to say. I did put his link to his channel in the description of the video, and I'm also going to put it in the chat for you guys if you want to go over there and take a look at this video yourself.
Hello, my name is...
And he's very, like, I don't know, just very bleak in a way. I like that he's just straightforward.
Christian Maynard, and what I'm about to share with you is a personal record, a time capsule of a strange and significant experience in my life. In fall 2022, I took a class called Criminal Justice Processes at Washington State University. It was a weekly course, discussion heavy, intimate. We were in a circle, and mostly made up of criminal justice grad students. I was from the sociology department. That semester, for the majority of classes, I sat next to a student named Bryan Koberger. Yes, that Bryan Koberger. When I first met Bryan, nothing stood out. He looked like a clean cut, all cop, military type bushy eyebrows, just another grad student in class that he tended to over-explain basic concepts. It often felt like he was lecturing the room, except we were all grad students. One moment that stuck out. Another student called him out for mansplaining. Bryan then got into a semantics argument about what mansplaining meant. He was called out for mansplaining the term mansplaining. The student left the class.
He was mansplaining.
Early, leaving their stuff. I did have one longer conversation with Bryan, about 30 minutes. We talked about our research, and I learned that I was from Pennsylvania. Near the end, I mentioned that I had to go make dinner for my ex-partner. He seemed confused, almost surprised, and I was happy to spend time with her. He said something like, most guys I know can't wait to get some time away from their women. I do remember thinking that was strange. Now it's revealing. After that conversation, we kept our exchanges to brief pleasantry. In class discussions, he often gravitated toward a nature over nurture argument, leaning into psychological explanations, as if some people were just wired to break the law. I didn't think much of it at the time, but in hindsight, it feels more pointed. When the news broke that police had arrested Koberger, I was stunned to say the least. I'd come out of watching the second Avatar movie. I looked down at my phone and saw the news alerts, many of them. The night of the
They're
arrest,
women,
I
yeah.
had a discussion with Nicholas of the New York Times and shared my experience under anonymity. The statements in the article that could be attributed to me are shown here. I felt the need to make this video for several reasons. First, I've been asked about this experience many, many times. This can serve as a time capsule. Second, I've been subpoenaed to be a potential witness in this trial. Therefore, I had prepped this information to be publicly available. Third, as of today, June 30th, 2025, Koberger pled guilty to the charges in an apparent plea deal. My hope is that sharing my interaction with him can serve as a time capsule, and perhaps I can help fill in the gaps in some meaningful capacity. I hope the community is able to heal from this. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Hello, my name is Christian
Wow.
Maynard, and what I'm about to
Thank you and have a wonderful day. Seems like a nice kid. He's not a kid. He's he's like 30 something, I would say, right? If he's Koberger's age 30. I'm starting to run out of this and it's really sad. Because I know I won't be able to I know I won't remember to order it. Like, you know what I mean? Order that. I just got to order that. I got to write that down too. It's like lip oil and it's amazing. Okay. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for being here. Oh, if you guys don't mind, take a second, hit the like button. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move over to the book. But I don't know. I believe him. I think that he did have a class with Bryan, and he probably did, talk to him a couple times. You got to think Bryan was out here for a while, and he really didn't have a whole lot of friends that were guys. And he probably would have been friends with really anybody just so that he could one up them or, pick on them like he used to with his friend from high school, right? I think he always wanted to make someone feel like belittled. And I think that if he had the chance to do that to someone, he would have taken the opportunity. It doesn't look like there's there's no such thing as mansplaining. Well, yes, there is. Oh, George Wagner, are you sure that you're not Bryan Koberger? Why are you? This guy is very feminine. Who cares? Feminine men are very attractive, actually. When men can brace that side of themselves, yeah. Man, wow. Move on, loser. This guy doesn't look like he was wanting his 15 minutes of fame. But I bet you that same person probably commented on Williams live about him being a Marine, being an Aries, and I know Bryan. That was all he said. I bet he commented on that and was like, "You're awesome." I should actually just check that. I should check that name and I should go check. I think he's adorable. I think he is. Especially when he opened his mouth. You could tell he was smart, I like that. No, he's there's nothing wrong with that guy. Okay. Let me stop sharing this screen so I can share the other screen with you guys. Every time I see this book, I think it's something back there. And I'm like, what is white? There's nothing white over there. That's why. There's only a gold basket. I don't know what I was going to do. I was going to do something before we read. I don't know. We went through 10 chapters today earlier on the live. This book has a ton of chapters. I think we'll be reading this for the end of days. But that's okay. We might take a break on one of the weekend days just to get ourselves something else to, just to refresh. But I like reading to you guys. Yeah, no chance of appeal. And Sarah, yeah, she got no one. Yeah, no parole. One. She also locked him in a suitcase, recorded it, and made fun of him. You know what I mean? That's and she and she's saying right now that her attorney, her parole or appeal attorney, whatever it is, appeal. appeal attorney, he's ignoring her, or she. That's the one that had the 9 different attorneys. Yeah, she's already complaining about the newest attorney. Oh, what happened to my book? I gotta wait. It's right here. Okay, let's see. Oh, there it is. It must have went backwards one. Okay. Hold on one second. Let me. Okay, thank you for being here, guys. Thanks for hitting the like button. If you want to join the channel while we're, reading, I did pin it to the top. If you want to gift out memberships, if you're already a member, you can follow the same link, I believe, to do that, or you can go to the bottom right-hand corner of your screen if you're on a tablet or an Apple phone. I don't know anything about Android, so you guys are on your own there. But if you needed help, I could get you somebody that would help. So chapter 60, Rathdrum, Idaho, November 14th, 2022. It's completely dark when Jack Decor arrives at the Gonzalez ranch house at around 9 p.m. Jack knocks on the door crying, and when Steve opens it, he is business first. Jack, I got to ask you to roll up your sleeves. I hate to do this, but I've got to do it. The kid shows him his arms, wrists, and hands. Nothing. No scratches, nothing. That would indicate that 24 hours earlier, he was wielding the huge knife that killed Kaylee. They hug. Jack walks the family through everything he knows at this point. He shows them his phone and all the missed phone calls in the early hours of Sunday morning. He thinks he might burst. He was asleep. If he'd only woken up. If only he'd answer, Kaylee and Maddie might still be. He breaks down. Steve tells him not to go there. There's nothing anyone could have done. Kaylee and Maddie had done everything right. They had gotten a sober person to drive them home. Then they'd gone upstairs to sleep. No one could have done a damn thing against someone with a knife in the bedroom. Steve doesn't want to think about what terror his daughter or Maddie might have experienced. He will later say that the pain is like a splinter that's wedged deep beneath the surface of the skin. It hurts all the more because he feels as if someone should help remove it. But so far, there's no one out there helping him or his family, at least no one official. What option does that leave him other than taking matters into his own hands? Chapter 61, Moscow, Idaho, November 14th, 2022. Jim and Stacy Chapin continue their walk in the new cold dawn. They pass by Sig High House again. At the gate on Nez Press Drive, they stop, shocked by what they see in the parking lot. The brothers are leaving the house en masse, flocking like birds caught in the winter snow, rushing to head south. When they spot the Chapins, they put down their belongings they're clutching. One by one, the brothers hug them as if their lives depend on it. That's really sweet. That's really sweet. Most kids their age, they could have just jumped in their car and just hurried and got the hell out of there. Like, I don't want to deal with his parents. Oh my God. But they didn't. They all, because those boys have gotten a bad name. A lot of people have given them a bad name, and that's very, very, very sweet. Everyone here knows Stacy and Jim because Ethan and Hunter were that lifeblood of the house. Even when Ethan was barred from living on the premises, he'd made a point of showing up to help with recruitment during rush week, working harder, putting in longer hours than any of them. For the worst of reasons, the dean had cleared campus, through Thanksgiving break, to which they have all been looking forward is coming early. None of them has any idea what the future holds or if they'll ever return to this house, to this school. Their moms had called them home, Stacy later said. They were broken, all of them. This moment of togetherness, of solidarity in the face of fear and shock is foreshadowing of the way Stacy Chapin will handle the loss of her son in the weeks and months to come. She will fight to unite the living when she cannot bring back the dead. That morning early, it isn't just the Sig Kai brothers who are packing up. There is a mass exodus out of Moscow despite the snowstorm that is descending. The kids who are hunkered down in the Best Western all go home. Classes are canceled. Anyone who can leave does. And Stacy and Jim go back to the hotel. They, Maisie and Hunter, pile into the Chevy Tahoe and begin the winding 2.5-hour drive up the hills to their second home in Priest Lake. Thanksgiving is always their last visit of the year to the house. The weather makes it too dangerous to get them here in the freezing months. Even now it's hairy. Snow is blanketing the roads, and it's not clear what's streaming more, the white flakes outside of the tears rolling down the faces of the car's passengers. Jim later can only remember that his mind was anywhere but on the road. Just outside of Coeur d'Alene, before the steep climb up into the mountains, they hear sirens. Of all things, they are being pulled over. Jim rolls down the window when the state patrolman approaches. It was our son. That was one of the kids who was killed, he says. The officer blinks. I'm so sorry, he says. There's no mention of whatever driving infraction Jim might have committed. Just get there safely, he tells Jim. Stacy is taken aback. It was a profound moment for all of us, she later said, a reminder that there was good in the world and that they needed to focus on the living. Jim grips the steering wheel and starts the engine. They head up into the mountains to be alone with their grief. Chapter 62, Moscow, Idaho, November 14th, 2022. Oh, for some reason the chat's not. Here we go. Canceling classes for the rest of the week doesn't prove to be straightforward. Provost Tori Lawrence canvasses her senior administrators, including Dean of Students Blaine Eccles and the head of the Faculty Senate, Kelly Quinnett, before making the decision that classes will be offered remotely, but also optionally all the way through Thanksgiving. Quinnett is the outspoken head of the drama department, and her husband, Bryan, has already started a new routine of walking her down the 10-foot garden path from the office to her car. Quinnett doesn't hesitate before rendering her opinion. Of course, students shouldn't have to show up to class in the wake of a trauma like this. A number of the parents agree. They want the school to cancel classes all the way up to Christmas, but Eccles is worried that a large number of students who have already paid for their housing don't have the ability to go anywhere else. He's concerned that those students, especially the ones who never met Xana, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee, might blame the university for depriving them of an education they already paid for. One of the unlucky students is Alex Salvador, a recruited tennis star from Spain. When not attending class, Alex divides his time between practicing on the UI courts and traveling to intercollegiate matches. The serious athlete at UI don't have the time or desire to join Greek life, effectively separating their campus experiences from that of the party kids. But now Alex and 3 tennis teammates, all on scholarships, all from Europe, are holed up in their shared apartment just 3 minutes from the King Road house. They'd once or twice fleetingly dropped in at parties there, but now they can think of little else but the gruesome fate of the 4 victims. Then it really hit me, Alex said. As the town empties of the students who can easily drive home, Alex and his roommate find themselves confined indoors once the sun goes down at around 4 p.m. They each buy handguns, lock their door, and spend sleepless nights mostly peering out of their windows into the darkness, seeing just the blue lights of police cars endlessly circling the streets. No one wants to venture into the streets where a murderer might be lurking. We were not safe there, Alex said, then refined his words. We thought we were not safe. Fear isn't the only emotion they feel. They are confused by seemingly conflicting directions from the administration. They can take their classes remotely, but in some cases, people don't have to take them at all. As Alex reflected, it was a mess. A stone's throw from Alex and his roommate, Ben DeWitt, who had been in Xana's high school class, is also staying put as a features writer for the Argonaut. DeWitt has work to do. Like many University of Idaho kids his age, he packs heat. He knows that it's legal to conceal and carry in Idaho, just not on campus. Even though he has a gun, DeWitt pushes his couch against his apartment door at night, an extra precaution. Over in Pullman, even Evan Ellis is in a studio by himself, During a commercial break from his broadcasting, a hard-bitten journalist, he still locks the studio door. I've never done that before, he said. That's how uneasy it was. I had this weird gut feeling, and I came to the realization, what if this animal is still here? Doug Wilson, the gray-bearded pastor of Christ Church, a conservative evangelical congregation of around 3,000, goes to get his car keys fixed and learns the local locksmith is overwhelmed. The guy told me that people who never locked their doors were coming in and ordering locks installed, he said. Wilson is used to being treated with some hostility by his neighbors, but even he has never experienced a mass panic like this. Dr. Rand Walker, a trusted local therapist whom Chief Fry has put on standby to treat his traumatized officers and their families, is observing rare and frightening instances of the 6 degrees of separation connections among the town's residents. The fact that everyone in Moscow knows everyone else has morphed overnight from a source of comfort to something deeply unsettling. Neighbor suddenly mistrust neighbor, friends mistrust friend, customer mistrust vendor. People are shutting themselves in, hiding from one another. Walker is hearing from his patients, from the townspeople, from members of his own family, that suddenly the connectivity between them all feels toxic. Walker's son, Christian, a former UI student, knew the victims. His girlfriend is the daughter of the owner of the Mad Greek, where Xana and Maddie worked. Now the restaurant is closed, and a handwritten placard is in the window. We are closed temporarily to mourn the loss of 2 staff members. We will update Facebook on status of store soon. Please keep all the family and friends of yesterday's victims in your thoughts. MG family. It is all too close to feel comfortable because he knows who among them is the murderer. Who knows? For Jeff Smitty Smith, the owner of Moscow Bagel and Deli, the sudden emptiness has an immediate economic consequence. His customer base is almost entirely wiped out days earlier than he budgeted for. His girlfriend, Sarah Wicks, the owner of Vine Wine Bar, has a slightly different problem, one she shares with Mark Trivelpiece, her close friend and the owner of the Corner Club. They don't think it's fair to ask employees to work alone behind a bar at night. Who knows who might show up or approach them outside in the dark while they walk to their cars. Travelpiece solves this by taking on all the shifts himself. He tells his remaining student workers, a dozen or so have already gone home, to stay away. He's got their backs. Local lawyer Mike Pattinson's chief concern is his 22-year-old daughter, Lexi, who lives in an apartment at the Bricks, barely 50 yards from the 1122 King Road. She lives so close that some of her neighbors reported to police that at around 4 a.m. on November 13th, they heard a scream. They were interviewed down at the police station. Lexi had been an AFI and found Kaylee to be a generous, thoughtful sister, a bright personality. Lexi liked her so much that the two roomed together during their second semester. They wound up becoming neighbors in their senior year. Whenever Murphy the Pooch wandered into Lexi's apartment, she returned the golden doodle to Kaylee. Most evenings, Lexi walked past the back of the King Road home to get to her car in the parking lot and saw Maddie through her window, putting on her makeup out of vanity. And just days before the murders, Lexi played beer pong with Xana, who, dressed in a yellow jumpsuit, was dancing and hugging every person who walked in the room. So Lexi is badly shaken. Her boyfriend puts his hunting rifle under the bed. Her father tells her to get out of that apartment and come home immediately. Pattinson has faith in Chief Fry's ability to catch whoever did this. He bets that when the cops get the perpetrator, they'll find a fraternity rivalry or some equally simple motive behind the murders. But he's worried that the timing of this right before Thanksgiving and the brutality of the murders are going to take the cops into the media storm they've never seen before. He is not at all sure that the chief is trained for that part. And he's worried about Bill Thompson, who is in the twilight of his career and doesn't get a homicide every day, certainly not a mass homicide. He may have to trim that beard a bit for prime time, Pattinson thinks cynically. Meanwhile, though, he's genuinely scared of who is out there, just like everyone else. For the first time in his 20-plus years of marriage, he does not tease his wife, Marcella, when she bolts the door at night. He always told her to relax, that she's not living in her native Colombia. Honey, this is not South America, it's Moscow, he often said. He doesn't say it anymore. Whoever did this is a sick person who skinned the dog. Claire Quells, a 20-year-old student and first responder, was driving back to Moscow from Spokane when she got the alert. No big deal, she thought, about the 911 alert that all the EMT volunteers get, until the news started ricocheting around about the 4 murders. Today, she's haunted by them. Her cousin was close friends with Ethan, and 1122 King Road is just 2 blocks from her basement apartment, which is at the bottom of a dark set of covered stairs in what generally considered the shittiest neighborhood in all of Moscow. Every time Claire comes home, her thoughts turn dark. She'll walk down those steps and he'll attack her, and she'll hit her head on the concrete, and no one will see her lying there dying. Claire has never wanted a gun. She doesn't know how to use one, and as a trained first responder, she knows the statistics. The majority of firearm deaths are caused by accidents in the home. And though she's going to buy a handgun, and she'll ask Katie, her roommate, to teach her how to use it, and her dad is going to come and replace her cheap window that can easily be opened from the outside with a better one. He and her mom want her to move home, but Claire doesn't want to. She's not sure their home is any safer. She's certain that whoever committed the murders is the same sick fuck who skinned her parents' neighbor's dog. 2 nights before the murders, the animal, a pet of close family friends, had been running around in the backyard as usual, but then it had not appeared indoors to eat, unusual. The next morning, it was found skinned. In a hunting community, skinning wild beast is not uncommon, but a pet dog? Claire shivers. She's going to get a personal safety alarm and clip it on her backpack and keep it next to her at night. To activate it, you don't need to press a button. You simply pull it apart and it goes off, and its piercing sound ring out until it's put back together. That way, Claire figures she'll have a fighting chance if someone attacks her on the stairs or in her bed. Without an alarm, she thinks poor Maddie, Kaylee, Zan, and Ethan didn't stand a chance. Chapter 63, Moscow, Idaho, November 14th, 2022. It's 8 o'clock on Monday morning, not quite 24 hours since the first ominous 911 call. The police chief is sitting in his corner office at the station on Southview Avenue talking to Tyson Barrett, getting up to speed on where things stand. Barrett says he's spoken to Blaine Eccles and asked him to pass on anything that could be useful. Thus begins a pattern. Twice a day, Eccles passes on details about the 4 victims, their clubs, classes, professors, to the university general counsel, who passes them on to Barrett. There has to be a wall between them for all sorts of reasons, including protecting students' privacy. Both Chief Fry and Captain Barrett know they must not tell Eccles or anyone who doesn't need to know about how the victims died. It's imperative that no one has any inkling of that until after the night chief has been properly photographed, analyzed, and sent off to the labs to check for trace DNA. Privately, the chief grouses when he hears that the university has released the kids to go home. Inadvertently, they made the cops' lives so much harder. Officer Danny Vargas is known to be one heck of an interviewer, and yesterday Lawrence Mowry, Mitch Nunes, and John Lawrence got the best they could get out of those poor shocked kids and the friends of the victims before they checked out of the Best Western. But there's not much point in having a great interviewer in Moscow if the students you need to question are en route to, say, Florida or Texas. Fry and his team are still trying to get their arms around what they've got at the crime scene. The Idaho State Police has a crack team of forensic lab rats, and they're heading over now from Meriden, a 5-hour drive away. Their mandate is to go over all the evidence for a second time before it's scooped up and shipped off for processing. No one wants any fuck-ups. It will take serious manpower and a vast network to shift through it all. People assume that technology makes a cop's life easier. In some ways it does, but it might take a whole day just to download the contents of a kid's phone. Simply deciphering the data is going to take hours, days, maybe weeks. Fry looks down at his laptop and sees the sticky note reminder from the receptionist. Call back the FBI. Fry knows he needs to call the feds in. In fact, he'll be screwed if he doesn't, given the mass exodus from Moscow already underway. He'll need the FBI's extra manpower and nationwide reach, and who knows what else. The nearest bureau field office is up in Coeur d'Alene near the homes of Maddie and Kaylee's families. Fry prides himself on having built up great relationships with both the ISP, the Idaho State Police, and the local federal agents. That doesn't always happen, especially not in the big cities like LA and Chicago, where infamously pride and testosterone can cause unhelpful friction between the local and federal arms of law enforcement. One of Fry's federal contacts, Lance Hart, out of the ATF, had found him an accelerated detection dog to help solve the Elias Park case. 5 years later, in the immediate aftermath of the John Lee shootings, Hart was ready to help. I hear the water down there is tainted again, the guy joshed. What do you need? What Fry needed was a ballistics analysis. Sorry. Send us the stuff, Hart said, and up it went so the deadly bullets could be analyzed and submitted into evidence. It's a pity the chief thinks that Hart is now retired. Yesterday, Fry saw a guy in an FBI jacket at the King Road crime scene, probably there at the invitation of the ISP, he assumed. It wasn't one of the guys he knew well. As it happens, the same agent is now standing in the briefing room at the police station with the lead from state ready for the 8 a.m. meeting. We've been trying to get a hold of you, the agent says. I know, says Fry. I've been a little busy. Need us to come in? Both men understood the protocol. The FBI cannot officially assist on a case unless the local police chief explicitly asks them to. Yes, says Fry, and fast. And with that, the FBI special agent in charge calls his boss, the regional special agent in charge, and the government machinery clicks into gear. The scale and speed of it deserves respect. In Salt Lake City, Utah, and elsewhere around the country, an operation begins to unfold. Fry imagines dozens of agents leaping onto planes that will bring them to Moscow, Idaho. In the station briefing room, Fry and Bill Thompson are technically the bosses, but right now they're staying out of the way as 3 law enforcement representatives, one from the Moscow PD, one from ISP, one from the FBI, stand at a whiteboard. With the FBI, the task force is now composed of approximately 45 law enforcement officers, from local, state, and federal agencies. It's a tight squeeze with a few folks standing in the back, but all eyes are forward as the leads divide them into teams. So these are the teams, I guess. Victimology. The officers on this team will assemble a profile of each victim by reaching out to family, friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, teachers, anyone who can tell them who Xana, Kaylee, Maddie, and Ethan were over the past 2 years. As a day goes, in order to know how a person died, you first need to know how they lived. Then it goes into interviewers. Detective Vargas, Lawrence, Mowry, Payne, and others on this team will reach out and interview anyone who was near the scene of the crime, any possible witness. Forensics. Fry still doesn't know how the guys on this team do what they do, but he knows what they are capable of doing, sifting through cell phone data, putting together DNA profiles, analyzing prints and blood. Video and local CCTV. Some camera somewhere must have caught something. The analysts on this team know what they're looking for. Tip management. This team will handle the calls and that are starting to come in on the phone lines or phone number listed in yesterday's press release, all of which need to be answered and documented. Note-taking. This team will keep a record of assignments, progress, and to-do list. No one complains about where they are assigned, setting a tenor that Fry will later point with pride. The absence of agency in fighting is extraordinary in an investigation of this complexity and significance. Brett Payne is the Moscow PD leader in front of the whiteboard. He scrambles down names from his department. Payne, whose hair is slightly cropped, reminding the room of his former military career, in short, just over 5 feet, weary and tattooed. Payne may be young, but he's whip smart. Fry hired him in 2020 because he has the talent to be an extraordinary investigator. He's good with details and very good at getting information out of people. Every good detective possesses the gift of the gab, as Fry refers to this key skill. But more than that, a good detective needs to be wily like a fox, wily like a fox. Payne will do very well, the chief thinks, as he watches him dole out the responsibilities. And so this job is going to be a challenge of his career, of all their careers. Braggadio, I don't know how to say that, is not Fry style, but there's no disputing that the chief himself is a damn good investigator. One time he got a written confession out of a pedophile because he suggested convincingly that the guy might feel better if he wrote an apology letter to his teenage victims. Before the first full meeting wraps up, Payne lays out the structure of the investigation. At 8 a.m., daily assignments will be made. Then at around 5 or 6 p.m., they'll regroup. The team leaders want to hear status reports from everyone in the room. No detail is to be held back. After the briefing ends, they all head off. Fry calls in one of his captains. Anthony Dallinger is an experienced officer and the likeliest to succeed Fry as chief. When Fry double checks on whether Dallinger is comfortable taking on the role of public information officer, the captain says, of course, even though he is not that's not an area he's had training in. As busy as he's been, Fry would have to have been blind not to notice the hordes of press assembling in Moscow. They cram into the area around the King Road house like bees around a hive. His inbox is blowing up with media requests. Fry ignores them all for now. He is well aware that anything the police put out in the media, they are putting out to the suspect as well, and to a potential jury pool. The biggest mistake a police chief or sheriff can make, Fry believes, is to overshare. Yet it happens all the time. In 2017, the state police superintendent spoke during his press conferences directly to whoever had killed 2 teenage girls in Delphi, Indiana. Fry found this tactic inappropriate and possibly damaging to the case and vows to do things differently. Well, hold on a second. We don't talk about him. He could do no wrong in my eyes. Fry shakes his head and goes back to work. He'll get to the press when he's ready. They'll want a story, but they'll have to wait. He's got an investigation to run. Actually, I'm not going to say nothing, but don't talk about Doug. Just don't talk about Doug like that. Doug Carter did nothing to you. So, chapter 64, Moscow, Idaho. I'm going to look at her ears. Her ears have been bothering her today. I don't think they're bothering her. She's just been moving them around. Sorry. Someone in a uniform needs to get in front of the mic now. Art Bettage, Moscow's mayor of just 11 months and 2 weeks, can scarcely believe he's having this conversation, this fight with the city supervisor, and with Bill Thompson, who was his neighbor for 20 years, and with James Fry. How the heck has a former USDA biochemist with expertise in local agriculture found himself arguing about the need for law enforcement to handle the swarm of press in Moscow? He has never thought much about the business of the Moscow Police Department beyond looking at its budgets. This is not what he's trained for or what he anticipated when he ran for mayor. He was elected on 2 main civic concerns: repairing Moscow's roads and infrastructure in the face of state legislative budget cuts, and locating a new water source for the town before its aquifer runs dry. I can talk your ear off about wheat, that it later said, but I'm not good at standing up in front of the press. But now he's found himself in the middle of a complete public chaos. There are helicopters hovering overhead, sniffer dogs on the college campus. Even a biochemist can see the situation could be ruinous to his beloved town. We look ridiculous, he says to Thompson. He points out that all the police have said publicly is that there is no threat, yet the place appears to be overrun with cartoon security. The public is getting impatient, as are some of the victims' families, and the press is taking notice. The lack of information about the case, wrote reporter Katie Koplenberg for Boise State Public Radio on November 15th, has frustrated people who say the community needs more specific answers. The mayor doesn't doubt that the chief and the county prosecutor will bring whoever did this to justice. He knows how good they are at their jobs. But right now, Moscow has a public perception problem and a safety problem. Crazy rumors, including one about a Colombian drug cartel being involved in the murders, are running rampant. And this was November 15th. That's crazy. As Moscow's #1 public official, Buttigieg can't just ignore this. It's a great irony that last week he signed off on the wording for a recruitment ad for a crisis communication advisor, but it hasn't yet been posted. So he keeps phoning, pestering people, barging into meetings of the city supervisors and yelling, and he keeps demanding the same thing. He wants a guy in uniform to say something that sounds clarifying or at least slightly reassuring into a mic. But Bill Thompson and Chief Fry won't budge. Thompson even warns, don't say anything, Art. You'll misspeak and mess everything up. You aren't trained for this. And what does he go and do? Remember, he messes it all up. The city supervisors are telling Buttigieg the same thing, ordering him even not to speak. And yet everyone, including the New York Times, is reaching out to him for comment, and Buttigieg is the mayor. He needs to make a call. He needs to say something. He needs to assure people that they can walk around safely about cautiously, which is why Fry and Thompson seem to think. But they want to take their time saying it. Time is what they don't have. The New York Times, he thinks, is surely a place to give an interview. And so he does it. He's careful. He gives context. But in the article, the context has disappeared, and there's just one startling takeaway. Moscow, Idaho. 4 students at the University of Idaho were found dead near campus in what a local official described on Monday as a crime of passion. Art Buttigieg, the mayor of Moscow, Idaho, said in an interview that the authorities were still investigating what had transpired, but that the case was being treated as a homicide. He said the authorities did not believe that there was a perceivable danger to the broader public, but he declined to say how the victims had been killed or whether a suspect was at large. With a crime of this magnitude, it's very difficult to work through, Mr. Buttigieg said, adding that the police needed time to piece together what had transpired. The overall assessment is that it's a crime of passion, he said. Oh God, Buttigieg thinks when he reads it. A crime of passion, he knows immediately that far from soothing people, this could fan the flames of the rumor bonfire. He's achieved the exact opposite of his objective. I developed a great dislike for national media very rapidly, he said of that experience. I tend to talk in paragraphs, and they lift bits out of the middle of the paragraphs, those sons of bitches. Art Buttigieg correctly guesses what the reaction of Bill Thompson and James Fry will be. The police chief calls up the city supervisor and tells him, could you please tell the mayor not to talk, or I will, and would it be better coming from you? Chapter 65, Pullman, Washington, November 14th, 2022. They've got to say something. They've got to say something. They're looking incompetent. Evan Ellis isn't just working his sources. He's watching the coverage of them. It's not good. A TV segment on the evening of November 14th from reporter Raina Kaur on Spokane Coeur d'Alene KXLY Channel 4 is typical. At the home where the students were killed, a bouquet of flowers rests on a rock right in the front. Joanna Perez was among the students who dropped off a bouquet and a teddy bear at one of the memorials. Perez said that Ethan was in the same college program as she was. He was kind of like in some of my classes, and some of my friends knew him, so it just kind of hits close, she said. As Moscow police continue their investigation, Carr said, Perez is grappling with what happened. It's just like scary and frustrating, the student said, because we want like answers to what happened, but they're holding back a lot of information from us. Ellis Stiles Thompson for the umpteenth time, For once the prosecutor picks up, Bill, you've got to get ahead of this. You've got to say something. You've got to give a press conference. It's coming down hard. Thompson is calm. I know, we're working on it. That in itself is shocking to the reporter. In 30 years, Bill Thompson has never made any public remarks about an investigation until it was over. Ellis pushes on, asking the pertinent questions that everyone is asking. Can you explain to me how you're supposed to say there's no threat to the public when obviously you haven't arrested anyone? Thompson is still calm. I can't explain that right now, but there isn't. The prosecutor pauses. You just have to trust me. The reporter is frustrated. Bill, you can understand how this doesn't seem to make sense. I understand your frustration, but I can't explain it to you either off the record or on the record. Ellis knows the prosecutor well enough not to push this any further. He understands that Thompson has his reasons for everything he does. But all the other journalists racing into Moscow from New York and everywhere else, spilling out of the Best Western, the Monarch, and the Hadaba hotels, they don't know these people the way Ellis does. They don't know a damn thing about this place. It would be easy for an outsider to underestimate Bill Thompson just by his appearance. At first glance, he has the look of an old-fashioned gold prospector. Ellis is worrying about more than just simply getting his story. He starts to wonder about whether the story has the potential to destroy the very people who ought to be driving it. If the prosecutor or the police chief doesn't speak quickly, other people who know nothing, will create an alternative narrative. I'm the perpetrator. What happens if the public starts to believe the wrong narrative? If they start to feel the prosecutor and the chief don't know what they're doing? Ellis shakes his head. That would be a very bad outcome indeed. Well, that's what happened. Chapter 66, Rathdrum, Idaho, November 15th, 2022. I swear if I'm getting the hiccups, I'll be so mad. We'll see. Olivia Gonzalez is sitting in the home office the family calls the Yellow Room at her parents' ranch house in Rathdrum, Idaho, hunched over her laptop. The shelves are piled higgledy-piggledy with boxes. She keeps looking impatiently at the clock. What's the holdup? It's now the afternoon after she got to her parents' house and 2 days after the police knocked on their door and delivered the chilling news of Kaylee's murder, but absolutely no details. She had walked in feeling like she was already behind. Jack Decor is sitting with her parents, clearly in shock. She feels terrible for him, and not just because of the shock. She knows he never hurt Kaylee, but there's nasty speculation about him flying around on social media. Some people are suggesting that drugs are involved and that Kaylee and her friends deserve to be murdered. Olivia wants to do whatever she can to put an end to this narrative. She wants to tell the world that they were good kids, that they'd done everything right, and that she can feel in her gut that whoever did this was unknown to them. Her parents still don't have a contact at the Moscow Police Department. I saw at around noon, Olivia had gotten a hold of a detective, Lawrence Mowry, and he'd asked her to put all her findings from Kaylee's phone log into a secure electronic file and send it, which she did. Olivia expected the police to take a little time to verify it all, but she can't understand why it's now hours later. And not only are the police saying nothing about the information she gave them, but they're still putting out the wrong time that Kaylee and Maddie returned to the King Road house. It diminished us, she later said. Time, Olivia knows, is of the essence in murder investigations. It'd be good for the public to know the details of Kaylee's last hours so they can start phoning in tips. It would also be good if the police shared anything they knew about what happened to Kaylee with the family, but the Gonzalezes are just as much in the dark now as they were 2 days ago. It's beginning to feel as if the family is being iced out. And it's also starting to feel like the only person bringing in information is Olivia. Olivia particularly hoped that the police would publish the video she found on Twitch of Kaylee and Maddie ordering food at the grub truck. The video shows her sister standing on the sidewalk at around 1:30 a.m., Maddie beside her, speaking slowly and haltedly. Kaylee orders, I think I would like the carbonara. On the video, Olivia noticed a group of guys standing behind the girls chatting and another group off to the side. Maddie recognizes one of the latter, wanders over and embraces him affectionately. But in the group behind them, one of the guys whose face is obscured by the light gray hoodie he's wearing seems to be watching the girls quietly. And when Kaylee and Maddie walk off to get in their rideshare, he breaks away from his friends and goes after them. It's not clear from the footage why. Olivia had already discovered who hoodie guy is. He's called Jack Showalter, and he is in the same fraternity as Jack Decor. She told the police this, and she's hoping they will post it to get answers from anyone who saw the girls in the group they were with that night. So again, she looks at the time. Afternoon is turning into evening. Why isn't the video up on the Moscow PD Facebook page yet? She hits refresh again, still nothing. She knows that the police need to protect the investigation. Of course she does. She understands how police investigations are run and how the media works. But the more people out there looking for this murderer, the quicker she feels it's a he, can be found and brought to justice. So she's frustrated. And then someone, it takes her a while to learn it's the mayor of Moscow, gives an interview calling what happened a crime of passion. For Olivia, this is a tipping point. It presents a completely misleading picture of Kaylee and her friends. She is not going to sit idly while all this misinformation gets out there and while the police continue to tell her family nothing. By early evening, Olivia makes a decision. It's time to take control of the narrative. It's time to tell the public who Kaylee really was, and it's time to spur the public into action to help find the killer. She's going to start talking to the press. The first interview she does is with Haley Gunther, a local TV reporter for an NBC affiliate station in Spokane. Seated in her parents' living room on their black leather sofa, her face white with tiredness, Robbie by her side, Olivia makes a direct plea for the public's help. I would say if you know anything, if you think anything, if you've heard anything, if you saw anything, just call it in, she says. I know it's important to protect family. It's important to protect friends. And I know that those ties of loyalty are strong, but you should be scared. And this isn't someone that should be protected. So if you notice odd behavior, if you've noticed something in the shared bathroom trash can, if you noticed a weird smudge on the fridge after your roommate came home late, call it in. Any injuries, anything at all, because worst case scenario, the police talk to them and they can go home. If they have nothing to hide, then you just did your job. Call it in anonymously. She feels better afterward. She's doing her part. She's upset that the police don't seem to be doing theirs. It feels too slow, too little, too late. If I can't sleep at night, how can you, Chief Fry? She asks herself rhetorically. She wants people to know how frustrated she and her family are. So she speaks to Stephen Fabian of Inside Edition, airing her vexation with the police. We're not getting any answers, and we're not going to settle for that. Chapter 67. Everywhere Stacy looks in the house of Priest Lake, she sees memories of her beloved dead son. From the deck behind the kitchen at the back of the house, she can see the 12th hole of the golf course. To the front, headed down a slope to the pond, is the 13th. How many times have she, Jim, and the kids roared with laughter coming over the hill, a few drinks worse for wear, mindful to aim their balls to the left aside of the slope. It's a tight-knit community out here, and everyone knew Ethan. One of the neighbors affixed a cross to the front door, one of the many acts of kindness that will flood the Chapins in the next few days and weeks, none of which Stacy will forget. In the afternoon, she and Jim head out into the snow for a walk, partly to catch their breath, but partly also to talk about how best to support Hunter and Macy. They are in the woods when their phones start to ring and ring with unknown callers. Weird, Stacy thinks. She wouldn't have expected cell reception out here, but also who outside of the family and law enforcement wants them so badly? It turns out that almost every news organization in the world wants them. In the next hours and days, all four Chapins are besigned with voicemails, texts, DMs, and emails from journalists of every stripe. Stacy later said it would be easier to list who did not contact us. Literally everybody. Every news organization, CNN, Anderson Cooper, The Today Show, Good Morning America, all of the Idaho stations. It was crazy. They make a family decision. They won't talk to anyone. It's a plus they discover that they brought the Priest Lake house relatively recent because no one can find them in Idaho databases. That night, Stacy and Jim lay awake again, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. They check in with each other every hour on the hour and rise early to put on a pot of coffee and walk again. The phones start ringing early, and not just with media. They get a call from the funeral home back in LaConner. Their friend Kirk Duffy runs it. He has a relationship with Kathy Mabbitt, the Latah County coroner. He's on his way to Spokane, which is where Ethan's body has been taken for an autopsy. He tells them they need to pick a date for Ethan's funeral service. Stacy and Jim choose the following Monday because that gives them enough time to be ready, but also enough time for the students who come to get back to their families for Thanksgiving. Maisie and Hunter still have their social media on, and Tuesday morning is when Stacy becomes aware of the rumors on TikTok in the wake of a new police press statement with information that an edged weapon, such as a knife, was used to kill her son and the other victims, and that weapon has not been located. Social media is also rife with rumors that Ethan was part of a love triangle. Maybe drugs were involved. Maisie is so upset she uninstalls TikTok from her phone. It's in this moment that Stacy temporarily forgets her grief. Instead, she feels a blazing anger. I don't mind telling you I went out of my fucking mind. Nobody gets to defame Ethan. Nobody gets to speculate like this about her son. She doesn't know where this is coming from, but she's going to stop it. Fortuitously, Priest Lake friends and neighbors, Evelyn Allison, Ethan's ex-girlfriend, and her mother, Kim, who worked in broadcasting in Spokane, knock at the door. Stacy asks Kim for help. She wants to call up one media organization and do one press interview, preferably with a local journalist whom they can trust. A young woman named Connor Board at King 5 Seattle is the journalist she selects. Kim acts as director. She sets Stacy and Jim up in chairs in front of bookshelves in the living room and positions Stacy's laptop so that they can all fit in frame. And the interview begins. It lasts around 10 minutes. Stacy and Jim look alternately shell-shocked and tearful throughout as Board gently questions them about Ethan's love of sports and of people. Through her grief, Stacy is articulate and deliberate. It's important for us to get Ethan's story out, she says. We don't really want anyone else representing him, and it's hard to have people speaking on his behalf, so we think it's best for us to do this. Well, hello, Brandywine. Thank you for being a member for 10 months. That's awesome. It's already been 10 months. Look at that. Time flies when you're in good company. I won't say when we're having fun because some of this hasn't been that much fun. No, it's been fun. Thank you for being a member for so long. Okay, so we're on the next page. She continues, the reason we've agreed to do this is there's some misinformation out there, and that's been hard for us. And that's why we as a family talked about it and agreed to do this because the things that are being said are 100% not true. There's not drugs involved. There's not some weird love triangle. All of the kids were just really good, great kids. Not long after they're done, Stacy hears tires crunch on the driveway. It's Emily and Hunter Johnson. They've driven up from Post Falls, having spent the night with Hunter's mom. They are clearly still in shock. Emily whispers that Hunter Johnson has not spoken for 24 hours. Oh, I love you too, girl. So Hunter did. Oh, this was like days later too. Like he wasn't wanting to talk. 24 hours is a long time. So, especially when you're with your girlfriend. Oh, that's so sad. Stacy phones Karen Allant, Emily's mom, who is at the Allant family condo in Mexico. I just want you to know they are here and they are safe, she tells her. But are they okay? Clearly not, Stacy thinks. The young couple's plan is to fly to Mexico to join Emily's parents. Stacy is worried that isolation will worsen their trauma, not ease it. This is a moment they all need to comfort one another. That afternoon and evening, the group huddles in the living room, talking, remembering Ethan. Hunter Johnson relaxes and, to Emily's relief, speaks. He and Hunter Chapin go down memory lane, at one point getting out their phones and comparing their text messages with Ethan on that last awful night. Early that evening, the group drives down to Hills Resort to find food. The team there has heard the news and welcomes them with open arms and group hugs. Stacy captures the moment on her iPhone. She'll take all the comfort she can get. She knows the coroner will call at any moment with details she doesn't really want to hear, details as to how her son died. She knows from Kurt that the autopsy is taking longer than expected. It's possible that Ethan could be transported tomorrow, but not today, from Spokane to Mount Vernon for his funeral service. Her son will be on I-90, the same road that the family has to drive. As she lies in bed that night, Stacy shudders, already worrying about tomorrow. Pray to God, she thinks, we don't wind up overtaking Kirk's white Suburban. Other drivers won't know it, but she will. It's Ethan's hearse. Sad. Now, remember how they had kept Ethan's body longer than the girls? And we were all wondering why. We were all wondering if it was like some sort of like, like some sort of head trauma to where they had to like, maybe test the brain or something. But maybe they had to keep him because of, if it's true what Dateline said about the carving of his legs, right? You would need him longer because you would have to measure that and clean out that wound to make sure you could try to get anything out of that, for evidence. Mary Lynn, I think it's because they were so afraid that someone would talk. And I think they didn't want to put the families under the non-dissemination order. Like they wanted them to be able to talk freely, but they should have told them. I personally, they should have known everything. So Chief Fry reads through his script one more time before heading up to the podium in the police conference room. He and Thompson have gone through the boundaries of what he can say again and again. The key thing he is not going to tell the media and indirectly the perpetrator is that they've got the knife sheath found next to Maddie and that it's been booked into evidence and gone to a laboratory for analysis. His job is to keep the mob happy. So he puts his game face on and pats Bill Thompson on the back, and together they head into the room of panting press. Chief Fry has never done a live press conference before, much less one in front of the national media. He makes sure the rest of the PR team is flanking him before he begins introductions. Beside him and Thompson are UI President Scott Green, Provost and the Vice President Tori Lawrence, Dean Blaine Eccles, Latah County Sheriff Richie Skills, Latah County Chief Deputy Tim Best, and Head of ISP Colonial Kendrick Willis. Each one of them has been advised either by counsel or communications teams or both as to what to say and what not to say if questioned. Eccles' wife, Shelley, begged him not to say something aggressive like we're going to get whoever did this. The assumption they are all going on is that the guy is watching. It is possible he is even in the room. Or is it possible he's even in the room? Evan Ellis is shocked to see Thompson up there. Bill Thompson never attends press conferences. Does the rest of the media realize the gravity of the situation that this implies? No, I didn't. Ellis looked around at the stormy faces. Probably not. Fry begins the substance of his spiel, mingling the pronunciation of Chapin and Gonzalez. His news nugget is not really anything new, and he knows it. It's simply that 4 victims were stabbed and that law enforcement hasn't found the weapon. There also appeared to be no forced entry into the home. Fry confirms that everyone already knows what everyone already knows. The ISP, FBI, and Latah County Sheriff's Office are all helping with the investigation. Then he drops the powder keg in the room. We believe this was an isolated targeted attack on our victims. We do not have a suspect at this time, and that individual is still out there. We cannot say that there's no threat to the community, and as we have stated, please stay vigilant, report any suspicious activity, and be aware of your surroundings at this time. He knows that come the Q&A session, there will be a pandemonium, and there is. He gets the same question put 4 different ways from 4 different reporters. You guys have said repeatedly that there's no threat to the public. One of them says, why did you say that, and why are you changing your mind? Fry rewords his answer 4 different ways, knowing as he does so that each one sounds worse than the one before. The first, in these cases, we take the totality of the things that we see, and they're very dynamic, right? And they're very big, and there's a lot of information, and we try to take that information and some of what we can't share with you, correct? But we try to take that information, we try to make the best educated decision we can. So we, at that time, believed that there was not a threat. The second, like I said, we took the information that we had at the time, but we do need to be aware the individual is still out there. We need to be vigilant. The third, like I said, we take the totality of the situation. We try to make the best bit of information we can with everything that comes in and then make our decision off of that. So at this time, I'm not going to expand upon that. The fourth, we still believe it's a targeted attack, but the reality is there's still a person out there who committed 4 horrible, horrible crimes. So I think we got to go back to there is a threat out there still, possibility we don't know. I would say, yeah, there's a threat. It's brutal. He knows this is not going well. Understatement. I don't mean to laugh at that, but I mean, he did say that 4 different ways. I didn't know he did. I didn't know he did that. And that was one of the things I was going to go back over before the court hearing or the trial was like all of the different press conferences that they had. So over in Pullman, Mayor Glenn Johnson, who has a PhD in communications from WSU, watches and shakes his head. He says, James is a nice guy. He got overwhelmed, I think. When he hears about that, Fry thinks that the criticism is both fair and unfair. Fry is just trying to do his job, and his job until now had been to catch the bad guys, not to feed stories to the press. But he's learning the hard way that apparently feeding stories to the press is now a major part of his job. I'd be irritated too. Irritatingly, there's the inevitable question about Art Bette's statement. The mayor has called it a crime of passion. Is there any indication that was true? We're looking into every aspect of this. I'm not going to speculate whether it's one thing or another. His audience can see how uncomfortable he is. Worse, his audience isn't confined to this room. This is being beamed to TV screens around the country. His own mother is watching. Someone brings up the Twitch video mentioning the Gonzalez family had verified Maddie and Kaylee are in it. Fry tries to sound a lot more patient than he feels. We are aware of that video and it has helped. It gives us a time and a space where we know the 2 of our victims were, and that helps us a ton. And we'll continue to follow up on leads that we can and continue to gather those. And inevitably, the question about the 2 surviving roommates come thick and fast. Why was there such a long delay before they called? Are they suspects? Then the one reporter refers to them as witnesses. They are now in dangerous territory, Fry knows. Bill Thompson will be bristling. Protect the investigation. I don't think I ever said that they were witnesses. I said they were there. When he gets the question about whether he's interviewing boyfriends, it almost comes as a relief. For once, he's got a strong answer. I will tell you, we are looking at everyone. Every tip we get, every lead we get, there's no one we're not going to talk to. There's no one we're not going to interview. There's no one we're not going to look into, and we're going to do our due diligence. We're going to make sure that nothing goes unturned and that we do everything we can with the assistance of all the resources we have to get a final answer. What Fry doesn't realize is that the country's true crime internet mob will now take it upon themselves to look into anyone and everyone connected to each of the 4 victims, and those people will now have to deal with not only shock and grief, but also an online onslaught of hate mail, trolling, and worse. Where'd your blanket go? What's going on? What's going on over here? Did you take her blanket, Mia? You guys are just you guys. They're my guys. She's just standing there. Sorry. They will begin to fear not just the darkness of night, but daylight and the social media too. Some nutters will even accuse Fry of being the murderer. He's highly visible, but the next afternoon, Chief Fry sees at least 10 FBI agents scurrying around. Do I know you? He asks when one of the female agents introduces herself. No, sir, she replies, but I've seen you on TV. Chapter 69, November 18th, 2022. Emily ought to feel relaxed by the azure water and the hot sun, but instead she's weird. She's glued to her phone. Someone has texted her a link to a YouTube video on 4chan showing old TikToks of her and Hunter Johnson. The self-described internet sleuths are suggesting that Emily and Hunter committed the murders after some sort of drug deal went bad and then left the country. She wonders how the heck anyone knows she's out of the country. I didn't ever hear about her leaving the country or Hunter. It was always Jack Showalter that left the country and went to Africa or something, they said. Did you guys ever hear about Emily or Hunter being accused of leaving the country? Because I never did. She wonders how the heck anyone knows she's out of the country. Then she realized it must be someone who saw her Snapchat. The night they got to Mexico, it was Hunter's birthday. They'd gone out for a tall, strong margarita. They had gone out for tall, strong margaritas. Emily had taken a selfie of the two of them, exhausted, hugging, their green drinks visible on the table. Without any context, it might have looked like a regular vacation pic. She'd posted it to Snapchat because she wanted Hunter to feel appreciated. It backfired. Immediately, Emily makes her social media accounts private, something she never imagined she'd want to do. She never understood why people even bothered to have private accounts. Yeah, I didn't either. I feel like sometimes, like they'll make things more salacious. I feel like that's more salacious to the book. You know what I mean? Because I never heard that. I heard about the Africa trip. And I'm like, you didn't go to Africa. Like, who goes to Africa? I've never heard of anybody. I would love to go to Africa. If anyone wants to send me on a vacation, I would love that. Well, actually, I don't know. No, actually, I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that. No, I take it back. I thought I would want to see like the zoo type animals, like the, zebras and stuff, elephants. But I'm afraid of farm animals because they're that big, let alone those kind of animals. So, and I'll just stay over here in Ohio. But it would, but I'm sure it's beautiful. But no, yeah, I heard about Jack leaving the country. Yeah. Okay. Man, people be wilding out. You leave those kids alone. Or maybe she thought like they were talking about Hunter and her or something when they were talking about Jack. They talked about Jack. But now the dark corners of the internet are full of fingers pointed at the small group of friends who sat on the curb outside 1122 King Road on that Sunday. Commentators are guessing which of them committed the murders. There's speculation about Emily and Hunter, Dylan, Bethany, Jack Decor, and Jack Schreiner, Maddie's boyfriend. And after the release of the Grub Truck video, there's speculation about the young man in the hooded sweatshirt who appeared to follow Maddie and Kaylee to their rideshare. Hoodie guy is Jack Showalter. Emily learns that he's a Delt whom the older Pie-Pies know. Even Emily finds herself sucked into the grim guessing game about which of them might be the murderer. She goes through the list. Emily finds that super hard to believe because he's been texting them frantically sounding panicked when the friends were sitting outside the King Road house. She feels horrible that none of them responded. Jack Decor, no way. When he arrived at the King Road house, he was clearly as shocked as they were. Hoodie guy Jack Showalter, Emily is hesitant to write him off because she doesn't really know him. And some of the older Pie-Pies have said that occasionally when drunk, he can seem belligerent. And at least for now, there's no other strong potential suspect. It's not Dylan or Bethany, so who? Emily considers herself thick-skinned. She's never been the type of person to care what others say about her, but here in Mexico, 3,700 miles from Moscow, she's scared. Truly terrified. Maybe the killer followed them here to her parents' house. At night in the dark, she clings to Hunter Johnson and keeps the bedroom light on. Neither of them walks anywhere alone after sundown. And the one night of my college life that I wasn't with Xana, someone murdered her, she said. Was that person trying to hurt her? Is that person now stalking her? Emily's mom, Karen, feels helpless watching the two young adults walk around like zombies, shells of the people they were just a week ago. She can see that Hunter, mute for much of the trip, is still in the early stages of intense shock, while Emily is trying to mother Hunter, Dylan, Josie, Bethany, and Lyndon. That's her way of coping. Karen regularly speaks to Jessica, Hunter's mom, wondering what they can do to put an end to the online bombardment. The advice they receive from Bill Thompson's office is simply not to engage. But as every day passes, the speculation gets more lurid. There are posts everywhere of old footage of Hunter wearing zip ties, answering the door at 1122 King Road to police who'd been called about a noise complaint. This raises questions online as to whether he was into bondage. Okay, no, that video did not come out in a week after this. So this book's kind of just that I'm mad at this book now. That footage didn't come out until the summer after or something like that. Or like the springtime. There was no way that was a week after this happened. We'll keep rolling with it though. Emily rolls her eyes at this. The truth is so prosaic that if one isn't looking for anything salacious, Hunter answered the door to the cops at 1122 King Road because they were in the middle of a game of champagne shackles, and Hunter and Kaylee were the only members of the group of legal drinking age. So that's why them two went out. Another internet sleuth, Jonathan Lee Riches. Oh, you made the book, JLR. Makes a YouTube video suggesting that Xana's dad had put a lock on the King Road house front door the week before the murders because he was worried that Emily threw wild parties there. Emily is suggested as someone the police are looking at as the possible murderer. JLR. Shame on you. In fact, Xana's dad never put a lock on the door of the King Road house. At wit's end, Hunter's mom, Jessica, phones Chief Fry. Please, she says, can you do something to stop this? Can you say publicly they aren't suspects? The next day, Fry gives a press conference. He states that the surviving roommates, all the others at the house that morning, the rideshare driver, and the man in the hooded sweatshirt seen outside the food truck are not being treated as suspects. For 24 hours, there is a reprieve online. Then it explodes again, even worse than before. Emily and Karen think that this is partly because the Gonzalez family sat for a TV interview in which Christy said that the police might have cleared people too quickly, and Steve appeared to agree. Karen and Emily understand that Steve and Christy want to find the murderer, but they wish they hadn't been articulated. That hadn't been articulated. It's the first time that the families affected most by the murders disagree as to what the right plan of action is to bring whoever did this to justice, but it won't be the last. Well, if you guys want to all go in solidarity again, instead, because since we can't, turn back the hands of time, I say y'all stand in solidarity and you don't go into that courthouse during sentencing. I wouldn't give Kohlberger that. I wouldn't give it to him. I wouldn't give it to him. After what we saw about him today, just sitting there staring like he ain't going to say nothing. If he's asked, Bryan, do you want to talk? Nope. That's what he's going to say. That's it. No more, no less. No. That's what we're going to hear. Yeah, I think that they meant like they didn't put them on like a main door. Maybe they put them on her. Let's actually see it. Let's see. I want to know. I know that Xana's mom said something about it. See, I don't think he came out in an interview and said that. Did he? Because I know that Xana's mom said it. Yeah, it says that Cara Denise Northington, mother murder victim, Xana Kernodle, revealed in a phone interview with News Nation that her daughter's father had worked on the locks at the home prior to the killings. Because he only did one interview back then. And it was like this big, and it was in one of the Arizona local papers. I can't remember exactly where it was. Let me see. I've got Xana up here. CNN right here. Last interaction with her. Happened around midnight the night. Okay, it was just the night of the murder. See, this is the only one I can remember. KTVO. Yeah, this one is the Arizona family. KTVO. KTVK, sorry. But it's not like anything. It's literally like this big. I just read it all to you. Okay. With Ashley? Okay. Or, oh, he did another new interview? We'll have to go over that tomorrow. I wanted to get up here actually by 11 this evening so I could try to get some sleep. What's he going to say? Oh, son of a gun. Now I want to watch it. Okay. I'll like, I'm going to come on tomorrow and we'll do a live then since it's already like 2 hours in, but it looks like it's going to be good. Oh, yes. Okay, Sherry, I remember. Thank you. That date, it was like, I want to say 48 hours almost. And it's him and Jazzy are sitting there. Yep. Okay. I think he's wearing a dark shirt, like a black shirt or something. I'm remembering now. Okay. I'm thinking he said that he changed the locks on her door the week prior. If he did say in that interview, I can't remember if he said it in that interview or not, but I remember that interview. So I'll have to go back and listen to that because I remember that interview. I just don't remember. I mean, I don't remember what he said during it. So. I did. I just said something, Ladybug. I just said I'd go over it tomorrow. Yeah, just her bedroom locks. Are you talking about what Pete just asked? I just talked about that. I know. I just talked about that. Am I talking? Are you guys listening to me? Am I muted? Okay. No, I'm not muted. I'm not muted. I'm going nuts over here. I just said, I went over, I said, oh, it looks good. And you could tell Ashley just got out of bed too, because she got a little hoodie on. New book says, okay, never mind. Oh yeah, well, we already knew that. Yeah, no, I'm gonna do one tomorrow. I'm gonna, because it's already like 2 hours in. So yeah, I'll come on and do one in the morning. Let me think, or like early afternoon, because I do want to watch that with you guys. It does look really good. And I'm sure that there might be some more stuff to talk about as well. So, and we'll read through some more of this book because I'm trying to get through this book as nicely as we can. But thank you guys so much. I'm going to, yeah. If anybody if you guys ever want me to know anything about like anything, just make sure you send it to me in an email, because I got on to someone earlier about, talking about creators in the chat. And it's like, I don't know. It's just a thing. Creators, I don't know. It's just not good to do. Like etiquette wise, I don't know. So, but I'm going to jump off of here tonight, and I will see you guys all tomorrow at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys haven't yet, please hit the like button. Please hit the share button. Please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We're gonna light it up now. spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now.